When people come to me for help with weight loss, they often say, I don't want to just lose weight. I also want to feel better. They say things like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And it might be because I serve an older population, right? Most of my clients are middle-aged women and older, but I can so relate. I so understand where they're coming from. It's not just about having an extra 80 or 100 pounds on our bodies. It is also this just overall feeling like things just aren't going well. And so I wanted to create a blueprint for not only weight loss, but also well-being. We're starting off a brand new year. It might be a good idea to take a look at some habits that have helped me and other people, because I've read a lot of research on how to not only lose weight, but also feel better. Because isn't that ultimately what we're looking for? We want weight loss and well-being. And it turns out weight loss and well-being aren't two separate things. They're two sides of the same coin. The reason a lot of us gain the weight in the first place is because we're using food as a coping mechanism, as a stress management mechanism, because we're bored, because we're lonely, because we're overwhelmed. A lot of times the weight is a symptom of an overall just unwellness. Now, you might be wondering, who am I to be talking about this topic? And that's fair, because I'm not here to give you medical advice. I'm not here to be a therapist. I'm going to give you some insight that I have gained with my own experience as someone who has lost 80 pounds, as someone who has worked as a healthcare provider, as someone who works as a weight loss coach. I not only have been in the position of helping people through this, I've been helped. I've been one that needed help in this scenario. So what I've done is I've compiled a list of 10 habits that I think have been pretty crucial to my success, and in the roughly zillions of books about positive psychology and self-help and weight loss and habits and all the things that I've read, that seems to be the through line habits, right? When you reach saturation point after reading all of this stuff, you start to really get a feel for what the recommendations are. And as someone who's put a lot of those recommendations into place in my own life, I've really come to believe that some of them just really work. And so I have this list of habits that I'm going to go through today. And it's not like you need to go step by step and take on each of these 10 habits. First of all, it's not a good idea to take on 10 habits at once anyway. But you probably already do some of them. Some of them you've considered, some of them you may have tried and haven't worked for you. But it's just kind of a way to get you thinking, get the juices flowing. Like, what are the things that people are saying help, right? If I don't feel well, if I have weight to lose, if I'm overall just not happy with how things are going, what could I try? What are things that I could implement and maybe they'll make me feel better? And maybe more than one. There might be more than one thing on this list that you could start to fold into your own routines and, find things looking a little brighter, find things working out just a little bit more for you. That's the point, right? So I'll walk through these 10 habits. You can kind of cherry pick the ones that seem to resonate the most with your thought process and with, what you think will work for you. Give it a shot and see if, maybe it makes your life just a little bit better. Everything that I'm going to talk about today, I've tried and they've made my life better. Maybe it'll work for you too. The first habit that I think is crucial is actually having some goals. And I know that sounds so simple and so trite, but I like to say your dreams will never come true if you don't have any. So if you don't have some kind of idea in mind of what your life could be like, of what you want things to be like, then you're probably not going to get there. You need a North Star. You need something guiding you, and goals and, aspirations, things like that. That's the thing that kind of pulls you forward. And along with that is why. Why are those your goals? Why is it important to you? That's an important 1-2 punch, is knowing what you want and why you want them. And it has to be something that's kind of exciting and motivating, because here's the ugly truth, right? Which isn't surprising at all. You know it to be true, but getting your goals and reaching aspirational things are hard. And the thing that makes it hard is how how many reps you have to put in, how tedious it is and boring, and how you have to just keep showing up and showing up and showing up. It's not instantaneous. It requires just consistent discipline to get there. And you're probably not going to keep up with that discipline and that consistency if you don't have some sort of inspiring goals, inspiring why. So if you're like, well, I guess I'll kind of, sort of do this, that, or the other thing, it's not motivating. Puny little goals have puny little effort behind them, which have puny little results, which is usually 0 results because people quit after 2 weeks. So your goals and your why need to light you up. You need to kind of get your blood pumping and get you all excited. So for example, if you have a weight loss goal, like you don't want it to be like too realistic, because realistic is not inspiring. You want it to be the absolute, what you actually want, what truly you want, right? So if you have 100 pounds to lose and you're like, well, it's not really realistic, and I've been overweight for so long that I'm not even sure it's possible. Well, if you don't, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. I don't know who said that. I really should figure it out because I keep repeating it, but truly, like, it's not going to happen if you don't think it's going to happen. So the goal has to be something that is inspiring, because that inspiration is going to have to carry you through the boring parts. It's going to have to carry you through the I don't feel like it. It's going to have to carry you through the F it. I'm just going to do whatever I want. Like, the goal is the thing that tends to drive people that are successful. So it really needs to be a good and juicy goal. Really, you should write it down, and it shouldn't just be in some journal on a shelf somewhere. You should look at it, right? If it's truly an important goal, it should be something that you think about every day. So like putting it in your line of sight, hanging it up somewhere and thinking about it, and thinking about how great it would be achieving it, thinking about the steps that you would need to take to achieve it on a regular basis, it just puts it in the forefront of your mind. It drives you to kind of creatively think about solutions. It drives you to notice opportunities in the world that come to you that could help get you closer to that goal. It drives you when you're in a circumstance where one choice would get you closer and another choice would get you further away, that you're actually going to take the choice that gets you closer. Goals are critical. And so habit number 1, honestly, if you just had one, if you stop the video, if you just had one, this is it. Right? This is it. Having well-defined, exciting goals that light you up and that you think about regularly is a huge game changer. It is absolutely been what has driven me to every huge goal that I've ever achieved in my life. Critical. I've been writing things down since I was a small child. And if I write it down and think about it long enough, it happens. In that same vein, another critical habit is having a plan, is making plans. So if we want to get out of the habit loop, just being on autopilot, doing what we always did, we need to kind of wake up, pay attention, and make a plan for this new thing that we're going to do, right? I am a believer that having big goals and dreams, just that makes it more likely to happen. But I also don't think that you can just have a goal and then sit on your couch and watch TV and wait for it to happen either. I do think that you maybe sort of kind of need to put in some work in order to achieve said goals. And so one of the ways that you get to where you want to go is you make a plan. And so if you want to exercise, okay, well, exercise is not a plan, right? When are you going to do it? Where are you going to do it? What are you going to wear? What time are you waking up? How long are you going to be there? What music are you going to listen to? Having a plan means having a plan. It means if you handed it to someone else, they could do it. That's having a plan. If you write it down and somebody else can't pick up a piece of paper and know exactly what you mean, then you don't really have a plan. You have kind of a vague notion of what you're going to do. A plan of what you're going to do is, I'm going to do this at this time in this way. This is how I'll know I've accomplished it. Somebody could watch you do it and know that you achieved it. That's a plan. Habit number 3, when you talk to yourself, be nice. I can't even tell you what a difference it made for me in my weight loss journey when I stopped being such a jerk to myself and how I spoke to myself when I wasn't a perfect human being as I was making choices and when some of them weren't congruent with my goals. The thing is, none of us are perfect. And so all of us are going to stumble. And if every time you stumble, the person in your head is just belittling you and making you feel bad about it, you're not going to want to keep showing up. You're going to be like, oh my God, I cannot stand to listen to her another second. I don't want to do this anymore. Whereas if every time you stumble, you look in the mirror and you're like, that's all right, honey. We still got this. Get up, dust off. Today is a whole new day. Let's try again. Because as long as there are pieces on the board, we still got a game to play. Let's do it. It feels different. It hits different. When I told my coach that I started every day after the shower looking at my body in the mirror naked and picking it apart as to all the things that were wrong with it, she was like, maybe you should try something else, which I think was great advice. And she encouraged me to take a, look at my body, say 3 things that I was grateful for, and say, I love you to myself in the mirror. And it was so hard to do in the beginning. Like, oh, it was so cringy and it was so awkward, even though it was me, like nobody else, watching myself. But there is something about looking yourself in the eyes and saying, I love you every day that is transformational. Like when I first started it, I hated it and it felt awful and gross. But I have now been doing that for like 2.5 years, I think, something like that. And I look forward to it. I truly look forward to it. I know that my day is going to start by somebody looking at me saying, I love you. That's a good start to a day. And I think because I say that, and I have since added, and I will take care of you, somebody's got my back. The most important person has my back. And I think that truly was the mindset shift that I needed to keep showing up for what I needed to do to lose weight, to keep showing up for intermittent fasting, to keep showing up to eat differently than everybody else, to keep showing up to not eat my favorite foods. Makes a difference. Habit number 4, take a walk. Take a walk. Oh my gosh, there is so much evidence of how good exercise is for you. Like it's endless. It is endless. It is a non-negotiable requirement for health. And we are built to walk. So that is just the most logical choice. Now, I know that not everybody can. So if that's not you, obviously, that's not one for you. But something, what you can do is important. My habit is to take a walk in the woods. I have an annoying little dog that freaks out when I don't take him. So it's actually, it's been great because even if I don't feel like it, and even if the weather isn't great, I still take him. And no matter how much I don't want to, or don't feel like it, or I'm just not in the mood, or I'm just miserable, I have never walked into the woods miserable and walked back out miserable. Not one time. And I can say the same for the gym. I can say the same for pretty much every exercise session I've ever done. I might start just hateful and grumpy, but I don't end that way. I have never regretted exercising. I can't say that about a whole lot of things. And it is because your body rewards you for exercising. It's so good for you that it sends these like juju chemicals into you to make you want to, to make you enjoy it. So you want to do it more. It's built in that you feel better after you do it. And the reason it is, I think, such an important habit, especially if weight loss is a goal, is because of the stress management piece. Like it has all kinds of great benefits. And one of them is to help with anxiety and depression. And those of us who struggle with our weight are just more likely to have those issues. And exercise has excellent evidence that it can benefit them. And many of us who use food when we're overwhelmed and we're stressed out, if we can mitigate that with daily exercise, then we can reach for that food less often. And that can help us with our weight loss program. Habit number 5, mindfulness and meditation. And those are actually two separate things, but they go so nicely together that I decided to put them in at one. When it comes to mindfulness, I think that's important for a lot of different reasons. Mindfulness is basically just being present. That's the kind of the best definition. It's like without judgment, just being present. Like I'm right here, right now, paying attention to what's going on. I'm not on autopilot. I'm not distracted. I'm not scrolling. I'm not doing all those things. I'm, here right now in this room. I feel the chair under my butt. I can, hear the background noises. I can smell, I can feel, I can taste, I can touch, whatever, right? It is being here now. Now, much like exercise, there are like gazillions of reasons why mindfulness is so important and so healthy for you. There's a book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which is a kind of a really popular seminal work on the topic. But truly, we live now. This is it. This is where all of our power lies. And so if you stay present, you're just more likely to have the impact on your life that has the greatest fulfillment. And when it comes to weight loss, that means you're paying attention to the food in front of you and not, scrolling or distracted eating, which tends to cause us to eat more and make poorer choices, etc. So there is a reason for weight loss why it's so important, but for well-being, it's important. When you are here now, paying attention to what's around you, that's truly how life can be best savored. Similarly, meditation is another practice that really helps us kind of be present in our life. And the most simple form of meditation is just focusing on your breath for a short period of time. As in, you could focus on literally one breath. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. That's meditating. And if you just do that with me, you'll feel a little better. It's crazy. It's one of those things that once you start doing it, you're like, why haven't I always been doing this? This is amazing. And one of the reasons I think meditation is such an important tool for weight loss is because it helps us with our self-talk. It helps us with that nasty voice that kind of infiltrates our brain unbidden. Because when you're meditating, part of the practice is to focus on your breath, for example, and as thoughts come, because they do, none of us can just shut off all of our thoughts, you just notice them and then you let them pass, like a leaf floating down the river or like a cloud dissipating. And if you practice that over and over again, you start to realize with confidence that what you're thinking at any given moment is a choice. You know this because when you're meditating, you can choose to let those thoughts pass. So when you find yourself in that churn cycle of negativity or in a churn cycle of anxiety, if you're a practice meditator, you at least have the chance of getting yourself out of that churn cycle because you know how to just see a thought, notice without judgment, and let it go. That ability is life-changing. And when it comes to, weight loss and the food noise and obsessing over how long is this taking and it's boring and I feel, deprived and nobody else has to do this and this is unfair. As we churn through those thoughts, meditation helps us just drop into our body, focus on our breath, focus on, this moment, which is the only moment that we have our power in, and letting all of that go. Is truly one of those practices that I think back to all of the times where it would have been so useful and I wish that it was a part of my life and have a little regret. But the best time to plant a tree is 30 years ago. The second best time is today. And so it's one of those things that I'm grateful that I eventually got. And so now that I have it, I will never let it go. Habit number 6, eat whole foods. And whole foods are foods that you find outside or any animal that has a mother. That's it. Those are whole foods. If it has gone through a factory and has been processed, and if it has been genetically or chemically or engineered in some way to make you addicted, to make it hyper palatable, to make you want to eat it and never stop, it's probably not good for you. You should probably let it go. And that is a really tough one. I have talked to so many people about weight loss, and people just latch on to their favorite foods, and the idea of not having them freaks them out. And I get it. I understand it. I was in the same place, and it took me a really long time to come to terms with foods that serve me and make me feel well and foods that don't. And the foods that were designed to make me feel addicted and out of control don't serve me. I don't like how I feel when I have those foods. Now, I'm not saying that I 0% of the time ever have those kinds of foods, but unlike exercise and meditation, I usually regret it. I would say I almost always regret it because I feel worse after I eat those foods. I don't think that what we eat should make us feel bad. I don't think other animals scurrying around on this planet feel worse after having a meal. I think that right there should be the indicator of whether or not something is right for you. And I don't think I have to explain why whole foods are important for weight loss. I think it's understood. Most people know that the reason that they struggle with their weight is because they eat the foods that keep them overweight. And it's generally not like the fruits and vegetables and animal products. It's generally the crap that comes from factories. Here's the thing. Our bodies don't have an off switch for abundance. We just weren't designed for it. We were designed to withstand famine. So we will always desire high energy, high sugar, high fat foods. We just will. There's no off switch for that. So how our bodies are supposed to handle an unlimited supply of energy dense food is just not coded into us, which is why, we have shows like My 600-Pound Life, why, people can just gain and gain and gain with no off switch. It's not there. But the thing that is there is that whole foods are satiating and self-limiting, whereas these factory-made foods that were literally designed to make us overeat them, our body has no way of knowing that we've had enough. It just wants more and more and more and more, and we will keep doing it until we're past the point of satiety. We'll keep eating those foods until we're sick. Have you ever had the experience where you ate until you were sick? Right? Like for me, that, Chinese food, pizza, tacos, right? Lasagna, right? All kinds of foods that I have eaten until I was sick that just don't have an off switch. I don't want to feel that way. And in my experience, the people that are more successful in their weight loss are people that recognize that the foods that make them feel out of control aren't good choices for them, and they let them go. Maybe not, never, I'm never having it, but certainly not very often and almost never. Habit number 7, intermittent fasting. And all that really means is just eat meals. Let go of the snacks. It turns out small, frequent meals in order to boost your metabolism doesn't tend to work out for us very much, as evidenced by the nobody it's worked for. I can't say that. There's something that works for everybody, but small, frequent meals just doesn't seem to work with our biology very well, because every time we eat, our body releases insulin. Insulin's a fat storage hormone, so it basically keeps us in storage mode. If we want to compel our body to lose weight, we need to give it a chance. And we're not gonna if we're constantly putting food in our bellies. So if we take those pauses, that gives our bodies a chance for the insulin to come down and for us to tap into our fat storage. And then once we lose the weight, if we want to maintain our weight, we don't want to keep boosting insulin throughout the day. We don't want to keep boosting a fat storage hormone throughout the day. We want to boost it with our mealtime, get the energy that we need, and be done. Habit number 8, practice gratitude. You've heard it. You've heard this one before. I know that you have. Have you tried it? Have you truly tried to list 3 things every day that you're grateful for, or at least notice things to be grateful for throughout the day? I swear it's impossible to be like envious and miserable if you practice gratitude every day. If you notice, oh my gosh, like back in the day, wouldn't they have just killed to have running water, running hot water, electricity, a place to live, all these clothes, right? Education for our children, right? The list is just so endless in modern society of all the things that we have to be grateful for, the people in our lives, like those little pleasures, like it boggles the mind how much we have. And when it comes to the weight loss journey, practicing gratitude for your body is, I think, an important one. That goes way back to the self-talk that I was talking about earlier. We need to freaking appreciate this one body that we were given and all that it has done for us and all that it will do for us. Feeling grateful for the vessels that we are in, I think, is fundamental to doing the things that it takes to optimize them, to make them the healthiest that they can possibly be. If we think of our body like a piece of garbage, we're going to treat it like one. But if we treat it like the gift that it is, we're more likely to treasure it. Habit number 9, practice generosity. And this really goes to serving others. There is a famous Harvard longevity study where they, followed people throughout the course of their life and, looked at the through line for the most successful people. And it was love. It was connection with other people. Like, that's it. That's the meaning of life. There you go. If you weren't sure, that's what it is. And I think that the best way to connect to other people is to give to them in some way, you serve in some way. And there are a lot of ways that we can do that. Some of us serve through the course of our career, right? We have jobs that are in service to others. Some of us are parents. Some of us are loving family members and friends. We find ways to connect through our generosity. And I think that people who, have this kind of inner battle of like, what is my purpose in life? What am I supposed to do? Start there. If you start there, I bet you'll find that feeling that you're looking for in having a purpose. I don't really think anybody has just one purpose. Like, gosh, if I don't figure out that I was supposed to be a swimmer, that I won't have fulfilled my life's purpose, right? I don't think that's really the case. I think you're naturally drawn to things that you have gifts for because you feel good because you're using your gifts. And so if you do that, if you do the things that just make you feel good, that you're drawn to do, and somehow do that in service to others, that's where purpose comes from. That's how you start to feel what people are talking about when they say, this is my life's work, my life's passion, my life's purpose. They find some combination of the skills that, the things that they're good at and the things that they enjoy doing and the things that serve others. I think there's like a Kagi or something. You know what? I should really look this stuff up before I start talking about it. Some of the studies that I've read about generosity are when they give people money and those people are told either to keep it and spend it on themselves or to give it away, and how much better the people who gave it away felt, right? When they kind of surveyed them afterwards. And if you've never tried that, if you've never just like given money to a stranger in some way, I really encourage you to just do it. Just something random. It doesn't even matter. It can be the simplest little thing. Like they say, like, buying coffee for the person behind you in line or whatever. Just hand a stranger $5 and walk away. Anything. It doesn't matter. And just feel the sensation of giving to someone randomly like that. It truly is an addictive type feeling because it's baked in. It's one of our things that we're designed to do. We might have not have been designed to stop eating an abundant food, but we are designed to be generous. And so our body releases all kinds of feel-good chemicals when we do, because when you're generous, you're more likely to connect with others, and we're part of a tribe. And when we're in a tribe, we're safer. And so we were just designed to give. Let me tell you a quick story about being generous to strangers. I was with my 15-year-old son and we were at Target. We were sitting in the car and, I turned the car off and we were about to go in, but we noticed that there were these two girls and one of them was writing on her rear window, like the car window. And like, we wanted to see what it said. So we just sat there and waited. And she was writing, "Buy me a drink. It's my 21st." And I was like, "Charlie, we should buy her a drink." And my son's 15. So of course he's like, "No." Oh my gosh. Right. The horror of talking to a stranger. He was absolutely against this idea 100%. I was like, no, this will be fun. Not that I condone buying alcohol, whatever, but I happen to have $5 on me. And so I was like, to the girl who was writing it, and I was like, "Are you the birthday girl?" And the other girl was like, "No, I'm the birthday girl." And so I handed her $5 and I was like, "Well, let me buy you a drink. Happy birthday." And I walked away, right? And she, of course, said thank you. And so I walked away, and my son was walking next to me, and he was like, "Oh my God, Mom, you were right. That was awesome. That was amazing." And the girl was like, "That was so nice." Like in the background, we could hear her say, "It was $5, right?" Like it's not that big of a deal at all. But in that moment, she got the generosity from some rando stranger in a parking lot. And I didn't make it weird. I didn't linger. And I got to feel amazing, to like reach out to some girl on her 21st. And my son, got that, like he wasn't a part of it at all. He just witnessed it. He also felt better. So for $5, like me, my son, the girl, her friend all felt better for a moment. It was a good experience. And here I am months later, still thinking about it. Moments like that just make things better, right? Moments of generosity, of giving, it just lifts us all up. We all feel better. And so if you decide to make it a habit, if you decide, you know what, once a week, I'm giving something to somebody. If you make that a thing, I assure you, like, you'll just feel better. And I'm not saying just go give a bunch of college age kids alcohol money, but I am saying that if you make it a practice to give, you would be surprised at just how much better your life is, just how much better you feel on a day-to-day basis. And if you're one of those people that are struggling with having a purpose, reframing whatever it is you do, looking at your life like, as an outsider might, and seeing the things that you do with your time for others, I think can really make you recognize you do have a purpose. Your purpose is to serve. Your purpose is to give. And if connection is the apex of well-being, I assure you, being generous helps with that. Habit number 10, lift heavy things. Yeah, you thought I was going to end on the lovey-dovey one. No, I'm not. I am first and foremost a weight loss coach here, people. And guess what? We lose muscle as we get older, and skeletal muscle mass is a sign of health, right? Being able to lift heavy things is one of those things that's a marker of how healthy you are. And that's one of those things where you got to put the work in. If you want to maintain a healthy body, you got to work at it. And strength training is one of those things that really pays dividends when it comes to maintenance of weight loss. If we have healthy muscle mass, we are metabolically more active. Our muscles act like a sink. It sucks up all the extra sugar. It's just really good for us. Plus, if we work on our muscles, that works on joint stability, which lessens joint pain. There's just all kinds of things that strength training is good for. Highly recommend. Definitely should do it. So there you have it. There is my blueprint for weight loss and well-being. Those 10 habits I think are the highest leverage things that I personally do. And I would recommend that you try even one. Even one is going to make you feel better. I would promise if I could, but I'm going to say it's really highly likely. Make good choices.